I recently started playing WoW Classic again. I initially thought of playing this as a joke. I didn't realize just how much I forgot I used to love this game. I remember playing WoW in 2008, back before the Wrath of the Lich King expansion actually came out. I remember loving the game, falling in love with the world again after playing Warcraft 3. I remember being so anxious to see how Azeroth evolved, how Arthas managed after the events of Frozen Throne, and especially trying to find all the locations I can remember from the old games. Now, a bit of a backstory before I go on. I am from Romania. I was born there. I lived there most of my life, and that comes with its ups and downs. In December 1989, Romania went through some changes, and pretty big ones, to be honest. We had our first revolution, where we managed to take down the leader of the country at that time and help put in a new form of government, a democratic one, and one that would shape the future of our country. I was born in 1993, when the dust of said revolution was starting to settle. It wasn't exactly the best time to live in Romania, but my parents managed to make it work, and I ended up having a pretty okay childhood. I discovered gaming back in 1997 when my dad brought home a bootleg Nintendo/Sega TV console, complete with a light gun and a couple controllers. I still vividly remember playing Duck Hunt with my grandpa and hating that fucking dog for stealing my ducks. I was 4 years old. And even then, I was so impressed and enthralled with the technology I had in my hands that I decided to take apart the light gun and never managed to put it back together, obviously. In the early 2000s, it was nearly impossible to find legit copies of games in Romania. Most of the games we had were bootleg CDs with bundles of games compressed to no end, open-air markets with cartridges, CDs, DVDs, and all sorts of other gaming paraphernalia. We used to buy so many of those bootleg cartridges with 300 plus games in one that we ended up having many copies of the same game, but we didn't care. It was fun. I used to be an expert at Mario Brothers, beating all the levels while my dad was watching me in awe, not understanding a thing that was happening. I didn't understand anything either, but I was happy. When we first got our family PC, it didn't even have Windows properly installed on it. It ran some sort of business version of MS-DOS with some rudimentary games, like this one, that I used to play on a daily basis. We got our first real PC a couple years later, I think around 2004 or 2005, and it came installed with the legendary Windows XP. It even had a proper DVD reader, which helped my brother and I discover gaming properly. One of the first PC games we bought was Halo Combat Evolved. My younger brother and I used to take turns playing the campaign, but I think that the game made more of an impact on him than it did on me. My game of choice was Half-Life 2, which we also purchased from one of those open-air markets. It came with 4 CDs that we had to install in a specific order so that the process itself wouldn't get messed up. It was a lot of trial and error back then. We didn't have many PC games growing up, but we were one of the only families in my neighborhood with a PlayStation at home. So, growing up, I wasn't really familiar with the PC gaming scene. I didn't play much Diablo when it came out. I didn't really play Fallout until much later. But I did play a lot of Warcraft 3 though. Mostly in internet cafes with some of the neighborhood kids where we would all gather and play Warcraft 3 or Dota or Counter-Strike, which was a big influence on a lot of Romanian kids. Warcraft 3 will always have a special place in my heart. I didn't really understand a lot of what I was doing, but again, I was happy. I remember having the same feeling when I first booted WoW during the Burning Crusade. I logged into a neighbor's account while he was away on a trip and I created my first character. It was a human priest. My PC back then had a measly Pentium 4, some random ATI Radeon card I don't even remember, and less RAM than my fridge has now. It goes without saying that the game ran poorly, barely at 720p, but I didn't care. To me, WoW looked like this. I will never forget the first time I heard the Elven Forest theme playing in the background while I took care of the growing cobalt problem. Killed all the wolves in the area, even before I knew I had a quest to do so, and drinking all of my water to replenish my mana. I had no idea I could hit with my weapon. I was just spamming smite, which again, I didn't really know that I could upgrade early on. I was pretty clueless about how things worked, but I was amazed at how well the quests were written, how I could tell that the world was meticulously planned, and that it was very well put together. Even though I had no idea what I was doing or where this adventure would take me, World of Warcraft was an escape. And I know that for a lot of people, the feeling is mutual. Many of my friends have the same recollection of when they first played the game. Either they fell in love with Elwyn Forest or with the unique architecture and mood of Orgrimmar, especially Baron's general chat. My brother recently told me that he still remembers playing Halo for the first time, and still remembers how powerful it made him feel, how seeing Master Chief tackle his troubles head on made him feel more confident and ready to face the world, even at such a young age. I remember my friends that could not wait to finish school and go back to World of Warcraft to be with their guildmates, to get on the guild chat or the local chat and just talk to people, meet new ones, share stories, plan ahead for raids, or even organize duel tournaments outside of Stormwind. I remember wanting that same thing. I remember wanting to feel like I belonged somewhere. Now, I wasn't a lonely kid by any means, but I didn't really have the best of friends either. We would get into a lot of trouble, and I didn't really have the mental fortitude to say no to a lot of things, so I thought that if I got into trouble myself, I would be cool, would be part of that group. Not in WoW though. Here I could be remembered for my heroic deeds, for saving my group as a healer, or helping others complete their quests, or for simply buffing somebody that would just pass by me. We all have a game that we are nostalgic for. WoW is that game for me, especially the classic version. I played WoW in very different points in my life. I didn't really keep up with all the updates and expansions, but I did dip in and out. Right now, I have a strong suspicion that I came back to WoW for reasons that I wouldn't be able to understand almost 20 years ago. Stress from work, worrying about inflation, trying to get away from useless political discussions that never seem to solve anything, and maybe just trying to get away from the general boredom or the regularness of life, as one iconic character from The Sopranos put it. We have to admit that after a certain age and after making certain life choices, we limit the time we have to play games in a day, usually to just an hour or two a day. So we do have to be a bit more picky with the games that we choose to play, especially considering that we have literally hundreds of games coming out every year. So today I am choosing to play WoW, either the classic or the retail version. Not because I'm necessarily hooked on how the game plays, but on how the game makes me feel. I will continue to play this game. I will probably continue to make videos about it, sharing my thoughts and maybe sharing some of the fun things I'm doing. I will be streaming the game on Twitch, just relaxing and fishing and mining. I don't really think people will be interested in watching me fish in WoW for hours a day, but if this video gets any attention, I may come up with a sequel and share more about how WoW makes me feel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And don't forget, whatever it is you're doing, just make sure it makes you happy. Cheers.